Thanks to the Last Toy Store for sending this one out for review. You can check them out at the link in the description, and they are my one-stop shop for pretty much all my NECA needs.
Dragon Ball, horror, kaiju, and more. Steven's Toy Reviews.
Hey there, collectors, it's going to be Steven here, and welcome to another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles review. I need to get more of these up because I love turtles. I know you love turtles too. Yeah, we're going with memes here. And today we're going to be taking a look at one of my favorite lines that is currently ongoing. We have a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cross Universal Monsters release, Leonardo as Creature from the Black Lagoon. It says Ultimate Action Figure, but aren't pretty much all the figures that NECA releases these days Ultimates? Yeah, I mean, it pretty much seems like that. But nevertheless, we have the second go-round for the Universal Monsters TMNT figures, and this time it sounds like NECA listened to feedback. Weren't too thrilled, the customers were, with the original Leo release. I liked it, but NECA did have a shot at redemption by getting us a more so classic appearance of Leo as a Universal Monsters. But the issue is that they are doing a victory lap by doing more turtles, but they haven't done some key players like Shredder or Foot Soldiers. So is this going to be worth adding another turtle to the shelf when we don't have other key characters? Or should you maybe just hold off and push NECA to get what we need instead of giving us more of the not same? I think you know what I mean. Let's take a look to see whether or not this fish face is worth adding into your collection. I will say that I do think that Leo looks really great, and I do think they did a great job of fusing together the different aspects of not only the creature, but Leo here, so this way everything kind of blends in well enough, so this way you can definitely tell where the inspiration comes from Turtle, and the other inspiration comes from the creature. So for an example, we have a nice fusion, a polymerization here, wink wink to Yu-Gi-Oh fans, of the belts and the straps for the turtles on the netting that comes on Leo here, because there are going to be two holes in the back, and if you're sneaky enough, you can put the wooden spear, katana, whatever weapon accessories through those holes if you are crafty enough and you can fit them. So even though he doesn't come with the typical like sheaths that would normally come with a Leo figure, you can store them on the back. Again, not too well, but nevertheless, they did think some of these things relatively through. I will also note that a lot of the figure is cast in a more so hard, rigid plastic, so it does, when you pick it up, feel as if it has a sturdy quality to the figure. I would say though that I don't think that this would necessarily survive any shelf dives, so make sure that if you don't feel confident in this guy standing up, that you do have a support stand. The sculpted details look fantastic, especially when we take a look at the back. It looks like we have some creatures for the Stone Age, as well as a hand on the back. It kind of looks just straightforward like the creature from the Black Lagoon's hand, but maybe it's just another hand from Leo. Maybe he's not going to be the only one. Obviously, when we take a look at the face of Leo, as you already saw, the gills, everything looks neat. I will say that the strap for the bandana, it is just off to the side, and that is a bit disappointing that we don't get an alternate piece because that does hinder the articulation of it. But nevertheless, I think that the paint apps really do blend in well for the figure. Nothing seems a bit too heavy-handed. Actually, everything blends in very well. I can keep going on and on, but you're seeing the macro photography here. Leo just simply looks good. So I do have a real bone to pick with NECA about some of the articulation choices that they have for some of their turtle products, because it seems like they're going backwards in some areas, and I don't quite know why. But for this particular Leo figure, I think they did a rather alright job. He's pretty fun to play with. So for the head, it's going to be a standard ball joint setup, right? So the head is going to plug into the neck, and the neck is going to plug into the body. So we get him to look around in some great directions, get him look down that far, up that far, left and right, rock around. The only issue is that this tail end of the bandana, the mask, tomato, that is sculpted in such a way that it is always going to be over here to the side. And because of that, you can get the implied issue here with it constantly being in the way of, depending on how you move the head around. So just keep that in mind. You don't want to force it. You don't want to break it. The arms, pretty much standard for all the movie style TMNT figures that we're going to have. You know it. You love it. I would hope. I think they're pretty good. We can raise and lower the arms on a hinge. This is about the extent that he's going to be able to do a T-pose, right? So you can push it real good. No music there. And then we do have a swivel where it plugs in on that peg, so we can spin the arms all the way around. No issues. They hid everything pretty well in a double hinge system at the elbow. So that is going to be about the range of movement that we have. But honestly, this is kind of where the debate comes in, where yes, you may have double hinges, but if they're not that effective, right? If the double hinges are not that effective at working and you only get the same amount of movement as you would from a single hinge, does it really matter? Drop in the comments down below. Now with that though, those hinges are going to plug into the forearm and the bicep on pegs, so we do get swivel movement. So that's pretty cool. So we can move those parts around there. For all the different hands that Leo comes with, they are going to plug into the forearms on pegs. So let's just demonstrate here. So all of the hands for the wrists, they're going to plug in on pegs, so they're going to swivel, and then the hinges are going to move in and out. So just as a quick demonstration, we do get the spinning, and then we get movement. Hold on. In a bit, and then out a bit. All of the wrists are difficult on this particular unit to move around, but with a little bit of TLC, you're able to do that. I would advise you that if anything feels like it's stuck, it's hard to move, loosen it up with hot water or a blow dryer. That's what I did. The figure moves much better. Now, you may say, well, we got a turtle here, but oh, they did get just a teeny tiny bit of torso movement. It does seem like there is a ball joint or something that is hidden in there just to get a little bit of movement around. I don't know if I'm just not getting the joint to move. It's stuck, but it does seem like Leo can move a little bit, and it seems like there's a joint hidden in here somewhere. That's what it seems like anyway. For the hips, ball joints, yeehaw. So Leo can kick that far forward, and the shell does block backward leg movement, but when we kick out to the side, we're about like that. Obviously, because of the ball joint, we can rotate in and out. Yay. For the knees, this is where we get a little bad, because we are going to have the gills, the spines, whatever, that will collide into each other, and that is going to be the extent of the movement, unless the top hinge, which is pinless, does feature a swivel. So if you rotate it out a little bit, you can get more movement, right? The bottom hinge, which has a pin, if you take a look underneath the knee brace, right, or the knee pad, you can kind of see what's going on, because this top hinge is like the elbow, and the bottom one, the pin is just, NECA, what are you doing? Like the majority of the Universal Monsters TMNT figures are like that. I think some of the movie ones are starting to move that way. I don't know why. Anyway, the feet, the ankles are kind of the same way, and they're actually really restricted for the hinge forward and back. Pushing it real hard, that's about the extent of the backwards movement. Pushing forward, that's about the extent. You can see I'm really pushing it there. But for the rocker movement, no real problems. So for the articulation, I would say compared to your average turtle, he's a little restrictive, but honestly, if you're creative with your posing, you can get him into pretty much any of the poses that you would expect. And now he is coming to give you a hug. Accessories time, and Leo is pretty short, sweet, and to the point, but that actually does work in his favor. So Leo is going to come with a little baby turtle familiar. He's going to come with two different, it says harpoon spears, but they're basically going to be wooden katanas. He's going to come with 3 sets of interchangeable hands, and according to the bottom of the box, the last thing he's going to come with is that little fossil attachment part for his wrists, which we'll talk about that. Now, again, that's all according to the bottom of the box and from the promo pics. If you take a look inside the clamshell when you get it, you do actually get an extra fishing line with some bobbers and hooks on it, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So first and foremost, let's go ahead and take a look at the little turtle familiar, the pet, maybe it's baby creature Leo. I think this is actually a really neat concept, because if NECA could include like a baby version of all of the Universal Monster turtles, that would be really, really cool. Like I can already think of like a mummified baby turtle. Maybe we can get a Frankenstein baby turtle. That would all be really, really neat moving forward. I know that, obviously the time has passed because it's been more than a year since we've had the original release for Frankenraff, but even still, if we could have an accessory pack which would include these, I think that would be really, really neat. When it comes to the wooden katanas, the spear katanas, whatever you would prefer to call them, we do get 2 of them, like I said. One of them is going to be rather straightforward. You get the idea of what this is supposed to be. Which way does the little hook go, forward or back? I'll let you decide. Again, it's your figure. You can come up with whatever you would like for it. And everything looks to be rather put together. The other one is going to have what looks to be a piranha speared through it, and nothing really to write home about. The paint application for the eyes and the teeth is rather impressive, and I'm very surprised with that, considering we have some multiple $100 import figures which can't do that. The actual handle of the katana here has some rope on it. It's not real rope, but you know what I mean. And it's starting to come undone. It's starting to become frayed, which is a nice detail to have. I do wish that maybe we could have an alternate attachment part for not having the piranha, but c'est la vie. For the bone attachment part, that little weapon that Leo has, that is meant to go around the wrist. However, if you took a look in the photography that we did towards the beginning of the video, you will note that he does have the wrist bands that are already going to be there from the jump that is incorporated into the sculpt. And there is a dangly part to that, and the bone part is actually really, really small. You're going to have to pry it open, use heat to wrap it around the wrist. It is very difficult to do, but you can get it to happen. You don't need to make any alterations aside from maybe using heat. Last but not least, we do have that alternate fishing line with hooks and bobbers. The hooks are detached. You have to put them on, as well as the bobbers. So if you do need to use that fishing line for anything else, you can just put it on Leo wherever. The hooks and bobbers, those are going to attach wherever, whether it's going to be on the netting that is already on Leo or on the extra line that you have. So you can get creative with this. You can do as you please. Have fun. For the alternate hand parts, Leo in total is going to come with gripping hands, which can double as fists if you want. He's going to come with slightly splayed hands and then really splayed out hands. So this way he can go swimming if you would like. So that is going to be about it in terms of accessories. I don't really know what else could be included here. It seems like they pretty much have everything. So if you are looking for additional effect parts or support stands, I have videos to help you out. I will say, like I did make mention at the top, for the sculpt of this figure, it is made of a more so rigid plastic in some areas, and I don't think this one will survive a shelf dive in the event that happens, especially with some of the more pointy stuff like the different gills and the claws that he's going to have. Now a size comparison so you can see about just how big he's going to be, and he's going to be in your average 7-inch horror-esque size of figures that NECA makes. So if you have an idea of how big he's going to be based off of your other turtle figures or your horror figures, then congratulations, you probably know about how much shelf space you need to make for this guy. So buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. I would have to say that this is a great figure to have and is an improvement over the previous Leo that they released for the Universal Monster crossover. I think it's going to be like Coke and Pepsi. Personally, I liked the original one. I think that there are a ton of accessories and there's a ton of different display options here. There are going to be less combinations, but I think this one has a bit more gusto, if you will. I think this one is a bit more iconic compared to the other one, which was less of a fan favorite. So if you were holding off for something a bit better, then congratulations, you'll have the chance to get it. What is a bit disappointing overall, though, is it's not necessarily related to this figure, but they are doing another lap of at least 2 of the brothers for more iterations of Universal Monsters. We already have Raph, who's going to be the Wolfman, that is apparently already starting to hit some stores, especially through NECA Direct, which will be hitting soon. So will we have Mikey and Donnie up again? Don't know, but we do need Shredder soon. Yes, please. Leo's good. End of my tangent.